So, for all the anticipation for 2016 and the constant conversation of who's going to be the GOP pick, the best the Republicans can come up with is Jeb Bush. So for all the talk of getting a conservative in the White House since like the early 90s, Jeb Bush is what y'all are leaning towards? That's like a kid bugging his parents for a dog that he can go to the park with and play frisbee with and teach tricks and is loyal to keep watch and guard him from the monsters underneath the bed at night. And then when his parents finally give in and take him to the pet store, he comes home with a goldfish. Don't come home with a goldfish.
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
Actually, there's a lot of Republicans who think that being more moderate is the answer. That's a big problem too. Anyway, this is how culturally naive the GOP is. Let's be totally oblivious to how much the culture was conditioned to hate Bush's 41 and 43 and just believe that the same prejudice won't be imposed upon a third Bush. And if the GOP is gonna take that gamble, why play a candidate that is pro-Common Core, pro-amnesty, wishy-washy on climate change issue and whatnot? Look, I'd prefer him over Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren, but that's not saying much. And perhaps you missed it, but the culture got caught up with the fashion of electing the first black president. Do you think Jeb Bush stands that much of a chance going up against the culture electing the first Native American female president, Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren? Remember, they made George Zimmerman white. They can go along with her being an Indian. And they'll do it, while the GOP misses how to nail Democrats to the wall with it. For example, while the GOP and Fox News and all those right of center were focused on pointing out that Trayvon was a little thug, which he was, and trying to make Zimmerman out to be the victim, who was just defending himself and his neighborhood and the right to defend himself with a gun. Because that's all that matters is your gun rights. You threw your weight behind George Zimmerman and didn't do much to point out that George Zimmerman is a registered Democrat. You know, those people who are so peaceful, tolerant, and accepting of other races. Y'all sacrificed a grand opportunity for Democrats to step in their own BS. But y'all were too busy being worried about gun rights being intruded upon, that you missed the opportunity to shoot a hole in the party that's imposing upon our Second Amendment rights in the first place. Y'all should have at least saturated the web with a meme that read something like, Trayvon, shot by a Democrat. Is it still racist? You still can. But actually, the point I'm trying to get to ain't even about Jeb Bush. He's not really the problem. And the establishment GOP isn't really the problem either. I talk about this a lot. And fortunately, some people consider what I'm saying and say, yeah, that's exactly what needs to be done. While others just don't get it, they haven't considered it, so I gotta keep trying and get the message out there to others with messages like this. I just did a video concerning Obama doing an interview with Glozell. And right off the bat, I get comments like this. Let me get this straight. The reason why conservatives are not gaining ground in America is because someone like Romney or Rubio doesn't hang out with Miley Cyrus or Justin Bieber. So to win the presidency is to abandon integrity and join the popularity race? I guess the presidency isn't about virtue, it's about crony popularism. Join the cause, be popular, win, win, win. Hey, conservatives, let me let y'all in on a little secret about your integrity. A lot of these people don't think you've got integrity to abandon in the first place. And sadly enough, they're more impressed with these pop culture figures than they are with Romney or Rubio. A lot of these fans embrace the leftist political views of these celebrities and embrace the bigotry they have against Republicans. And it's kind of hard for them to know you any different because you're not there showing them otherwise. You're just letting other leftists impose their ideas of who you are onto them, while you just pretend that ignoring them will make them go away. Like telling me, why are you talking about Michael Moore? It's just giving him more attention. Ignoring problems don't make them go away. By your logic, it's dumb to see a doctor about chest pains or shortness of breath because that's just giving it attention. Don't call the fire department when a building is burning up because that's just what the fire wants. It wants attention. Don't do nothing about a home invader. He just wants attention. He also wants your jewelry, contents of the safe, that Xbox, and a piece of your wife, which must mean he really wants a bullet in the eye. But don't do that, because we don't want to give him any attention. Just ignore him. And that's how we're supposed to treat these leftist celebrities? Just ignore them? It doesn't matter if they're like termites eating away at the framework of your home. Don't give them any attention, they'll stop. See, this is where a lot of conservatives show how they're kind of in a bubble. They think that if we just ignore these people, they'll go away. Meanwhile, they seem to forget that there's a lot of people who actually like the works of these artists and don't want to ignore them. They're fans, and you can't tell fans to just ignore who they're a fan of. And while you're trying to play the ignore them game, they're getting led deeper into developing prejudices about you and our republic because you're not there to show them any different. Now, does this mean go hang out with Michael Moore or Bill Maher or Ben Affleck or whoever? No, it doesn't. It means you learn how to use what mediums they use to reach their audience and compete with them and deliver your message without compromising your principles. Bill Maher has a successful platform to influence his fans. SNL, you can talk about how much it sucks as much as you want. They're still here and still using their medium with a left bias. Music, movies, education, sports, fashion, all these things shape the perspective of the culture, and you're not really there competing, which is bizarre because conservatives always say competition breeds excellence, but you're not competing, you're ignoring. You say you're about supply and demand, but you're not supplying competition against all the powerful mediums the left uses, and you're not demanding it, you're just complaining. Your only demand is for some politician to go change things. And you've all of a sudden got the money to support their campaign, but for some reason, you don't have money to support the effort it takes to represent culturally, to sustain representation politically. But I understand, it's hard to support something that's not really being supplied. We try here at PJTV, but y'all political commentary only goes so far. It's needed, but there needs to be other mediums. A lot of y'all complain about these millennials getting their news from Jon Stewart. Don't complain, give them competition. But y'all don't want to support cultural competition. You want to support politicians. And while you do that, a lot of y'all will say, who cares what these celebrities think? While thinking Clint Eastwood's a genius because he spoke to a chair. And I want to say something else to this idea that talking to certain people like a Miley Cyrus is to abandon your integrity. Jesus hung out with the kind of people you snub your nose at. Does he lack integrity? In fact, one of the reasons Jesus is renowned for his integrity is because he sacrificed his integrity for the salvation of others. The creator of all heaven and earth stepped off his throne and used his own integrity as a washcloth to wash the feet of his disciples. So I'm not with you on this integrity business. Too many conservatives only see it as lowering themselves to connect with the freaks. Conservatives are still the most charitable with their own money, by the way. But to continue, and to connect with them would only be partaking in a freak show. Well, the more you keep clinging to that idea, the bigger the freak show gets. So what you're talking about ain't working. I'm laughing at this language that says it's beneath the office of the president. God didn't think it was beneath his office to have a little chit-chat with unsavory types. And I think the office of God is a little higher than the office of the president's. And you conservatives talk about liberals elevating the president to messianic status. So what is the president supposed to do? Go pal around with tramps like Miley Cyrus just to win the presidency? I remember a story where Jesus hung out with this tramp by the well. Perhaps you heard of it. I don't recall him having the attitude of it being beneath him to do so. And by doing so, he left a pretty heavy and positive impression on others in that culture. Aren't y'all familiar with the term catalyst? Now, I'm not saying that you gotta go pal around with every weirdo with an audience, but if the president wants the job, he's gonna have to make some rounds. And again, it ain't about palling around with these artists. I'm talking about connecting with the audience they have and finding ways interesting enough for them to examine your side of the story. Malfonso Rachel with Zonation, and its objective to take America back is pretty ambitious, but you haven't even taken over local FM radio. Are you representing in education, arts, and entertainment? Have you even taken back the Republican Party? Okay, I'm not seeing how ignoring these things adds up to taking back the country. Be careful with this grip that you're trying to keep on freedom. You could choke it to death. Loosen up. Don't come home with a goldfish.